My non-spoiler review of The Flash is coming up.
Hey, comic book familia. This is Ephraim Passpoint Comics, and I was fortunate enough yesterday night to go see a sneak preview of The Flash. Special shout out to Hell Destroyer for getting the tickets. So, right before the movie started, they came on screen, two people from the production side of the movie stating how happy they were that we came to go see this sneak preview of The Flash. And at the end, they said, "This is not the final product of the movie." So that got me thinking, I have to go back and see this movie again when it officially comes out to see what they have tweaked, if anything. The movie basically starts off with Barry Allen trying to get breakfast, and they show him he's so awkward and fumbling through life. He even has problems just getting a simple breakfast order, and he has to eat because his metabolism, him going fast, he all constantly has to eat. Then he gets a call from Alfred that Batman needs his help. He goes help Batman. Another bad guy is destroying Gotham City. Batman tells him, take care of the people, try to save as many people as you can. He does that. He saves about 6 babies, and they show the whole sequence of how it happened. And at the end, they ask, Flash asks, are there any other Justice Leaguers coming? Nobody came until the last second. And one Justice Leaguer does have a cameo. I'm not going to tell you who that person is. After that, scene, they start not right after the scene, but later on in the movie, they have Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne talking, and Barry says, "What if I could go back in time and have my mom not die, and I could actually save your parents?" Of course, Batman is totally against it, saying, if you go back in time, you're going to change the future. So don't mess with time. Of course, Barry doesn't listen. He's so heartbroken because his mom died. He does go back in time, and he finds out a way to save his mom. And we know that things are going to go bad because of that. So he makes it to the Speed Force, and he saves his mom. And then he's racing back to his time, his present time. But then he gets knocked out by this creature, and he ends up in the past. Basically, he meets up with himself, but a younger Barry Allen before he was the Flash. And he tells him, "This is the day that you become the Flash. So we have to do that." So they go, into the lab, and he tells him, "You have to sit here." And then, of course, chaos follows after that. And the young Barry becomes the Flash, but then they still have to fight. But then they find out that the world is being taken over by Zod. Yes, in this alternate reality, Zod is in this movie, but there's no Superman to fight him. So that's unfortunate. So Barry has to think of a way to defeat Zod, try to find Superman. He can't find him. He tries to find other Justice Leaguers, and they're not Justice Leaguers yet. So he has no luck finding anyone, but he does find Batman, Bruce Wayne. So he does go to Bruce Wayne's mansion, both Flashes now. And then at the beginning, Bruce Wayne says, "I want nothing to do with this. I'm not Batman anymore." But of course, later on in the film, he changes his mind, and he does become Batman. And obviously, this is the Batman Michael Keaton, which we all know and love. So they start trying to find Superman, and they get some information that Superman is in Russia, being kept prisoner. So they find out a way to help him escape. But when they get there, and this is not a spoiler because everybody's seen what this movie is about, it's not Clark Kent Superman, it's Kara Zor-El, his cousin. They still rescue her, and she's like in a cave, like in a prison, underneath, and she's all weak, but she doesn't have no sunlight to give her power. But they do help her escape, and quickly, when she gets to the sun, her powers start rejuvenating, and she does become Supergirl. So it's Supergirl, not Superman. But Barry tells him, Zod's going to destroy the world, and you have to help us. And they form like a mini Justice League, the two Flashes, Supergirl, and Batman. So they start fighting against Zod, and of course, it's not going according to plan. So the two Barrys have to go back in time and try to fix the problems that are happening during the battle, but it never works out. Once something is supposed to happen, it just happens, but in different ways. But the younger Barry doesn't know all the pain and suffering that the older Barry has gone through. So he keeps going back and back and back in time. And he's basically, he's causing all kinds of chaos. And the bad guy that at the beginning of this movie, I forgot to say, when Barry Allen was going through the Speed Force, he gets knocked out and he doesn't make it to his present time. He gets stuck in the past, and there's this one like enemy or creature that knocks him out. And we find out later on who that creature is. Before the movie ended, I figured out who it was, and it was a big paradox. And that's how the movie goes. Basically, there's a lot of action scenes, great action scenes. There was some comedy, which I'm glad DC movies is finally getting the hint. Not all movies are all dark and sad. There has to be some type of levity in this movie, which is good. At the end, everything gets resolved. Some people don't make it. I'm not going to say who makes it or who doesn't make it, but there's a lot of cameos, especially during the end of the movie, the big fight scenes. Numerous Supermans come out, which is a cool thing. I say, wow, this is pretty cool. So the movie goes on. Barry Allen, the older one, finally realizes, unfortunately, I can't save my mom, because if I save her, everything goes into chaos in this world. And this basic world, it won't exist because of Zod. So he has to go back in time to, not save his mom, which was very heartbreaking for him. You could tell, but he knew it was the right thing to do. So towards the end of the movie, Barry has to go back in court, and you see what's going on with his dad, whether he's saved, whether he's found not guilty or guilty, or he still stays in prison. At the end of the movie, they show Barry Allen walking down the court steps, and Bruce Wayne, Batman, shows up. A bunch of reporters crowd Bruce Wayne's car. You don't see him. You see a foot come out of the door, out of the car door. Barry Allen looks at him, and that's basically the end of the movie that we saw. I'm not going to tell you what Barry Allen said, but then it was the screen went dark. There were no credit scenes at the end of this movie since it was a preview. I'm curious to see if there will be credit scenes that they're going to add on for. Like I said, this is not the official movie. They may tweak it before it comes out, officially in about a month. So I want to see if there's any mid-credit scenes. It was a funny movie. It was quite enjoyable. All the cameos, especially at the end, some of them I went, wow, I can't believe they did that. So out of 10, I give this movie between an 8 and a 9. It was a great movie. Hopefully DC Comics, James Gunn, if you see this review, they get the hint that, they use this movie as somewhat of a springboard to future DC movies. I know James Gunn basically had nothing to do with this movie, but I hope he uses it. And I don't know if The Flash is going to come out again in movies. We know everything that's happening with Ezra Miller. So only time will tell. But I think this movie is a good step forward for the DC universe. And like I said, hopefully they can build on it. Until next time, everyone, this is Efren Passpoint Comics. Go out and see this movie. You will not be disappointed, and you will enjoy it a lot.